You want rookie tips on life to avoid simple mistakes, right? Don't piss into the wind. Stop setting exemptions to 35 on your tax forms and get mad when you have to pay in at the end of the year. And understand that in Starbucks, you're paying for the service, not the coffee. But what about the professional life tips, right? The ones that politely tell you that 12-year-old briefs when you get into the dating pool just aren't gonna cut it. LLC versus sole proprietorships do have their own pros and cons if you want to start your own business, if you know what I'm saying. And there are some sophisticated mistakes that you can make when you're actually lifting your truck. I'm Dustin, Dusty.co on Instagram if that's your fancy, and today we're talking about mistakes that even the professionals make when they're lifting their trucks for, like the second or third or fourth or fifth or sixth times. Let's get it. And if you're looking to learn more about building your truck, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. And if you're looking for a set of wheels and tires or even a lift kit for your truck, right, be sure to check out CustomOffsets.com. We've got brands like BDS and Rough Country in stock in the warehouse that we can ship to your door in 10 days or less, which is pretty incredible if you ask me. There's the plug, take it or leave it. Also, drop a comment down below on the rookiest you guys have ever seen when it comes to a lift kit at a truck meet, or maybe you've done it yourself on your first truck. I want to hear it. I want to see them. Put them below. Professional mistakes are a little bit more in-depth than, rookie mistakes because, well, when you lift like 2 to 3 trucks a week for something like 8 years like Cody Banker, you tend to learn a thing or two about those fancy little chunks of metal that make your truck look cooler. First things first, right, for all you garage builders out there, right, the do-it-yourselfers, the built-not-bought guys, and the ones that take pride in building your truck in your very own garage, here's something to remember. You building your truck in the garage may mean that it may not always fit out of the garage, right? Hell, even Sean had to literally cut his garage door after he built CO2 way back in the day when Custom Offsets was starting because we were doing one of our first builds with a big 5-inch Rough Country lift kit with some 22x12 Cali off-road busteds and some Arturo 35s. The good old days of 2015, man. 22s, they were huge. That was the market. They're big. Now you get those stock. Truck looks sick in the garage, but when we went to roll it outside, we couldn't. Now, laugh all you want, but this is a pretty common thing. A lot of builds go up on jack stands, right? They get a lift, they get bigger wheels and tires, and then, you forget that garage clearance is actually a real thing. So, you go to roll your truck out the garage and then it just doesn't fit. You're gonna wanna keep that in mind as you're building your truck and understand the total height after you put the lift and the wheels and tires in, so that way you don't have to go back in time to get your truck out of the garage. Here's another little bit more fancier one, right? When lifting your truck, you're typically trying to fit larger wheels and tires. I mean, after all, that's why we put lift kits on in the first place. When that happens, there's a few things that you're going to want to keep in mind, but one of the bigger ones here is that your speedometer calibration is going to change, likely quite a bit more than you would typically anticipate. 35s on your common 1500 platforms are gonna change your speedometer somewhere between 5 and 7 miles per hour at lower speeds. Now, if you kick it up to the old 5 mile per gallon but 50 miles per gallon range on the highway, and you're gonna see double-digit variances of sometimes 12 to 13 miles an hour. But this video isn't about wheels and tires, it's about lift kits, right? So here's how that actually affects your lift kit. The added lift and bigger wheels and tires are gonna equal more pressure on your, wheels, tires, and suspension, CustomOffsets.com, which is gonna accelerate the wear of your suspension items, and it's going to change the suspension geometry of your steering components. Most notably, we're talking things like ball joints, tie rod ends, steering gearboxes, and lateral links and stuff like that, and getting your truck up and down to speed, hauling stuff around and using it for its intended purpose puts an exponential strain on those pieces, and if you're not prepared to handle those maintenance issues, you're probably gonna be pissed. People know that there's an increased strain, right, when you add bigger wheels and tires in a lift kit, but they just don't understand how much of a strain it can actually add because of the sheer weight of the wheels and tires, which, then get put on otherwise OEM components. Now, when you transfer that weight through the taller body of a truck, what you're gonna get is higher pressure points than OEM. Now, that weight transfer is gonna compound depending on if you're driving like a grandpa or if you're like Ricky Bobby and you just really wanna go fast, right? And that's really gonna tell you how quickly you'll learn the pain of repair bills. Which goes into just that. Even pros sometimes forget that upgrading a lift kit is a constant modification. Now we know, right, you want to slap it all in and forget about it, but you can't because, you're just trying to do things right, and so you buy all the steering adjustment modifications, you upgrade your steering gearbox, you install new ball joints, you still have to get annual alignments, right? You're still going to need to check that lift kit annually or even semi-annually to ensure that, that kit's still at ugga-dugga torque specs, right? Everyone should know by now that metal expands and contracts with temperatures, and if you're in a place like the north where it's even more cold in the winter and warm in the summer, you're gonna get it even worse. As the truck goes through its adolescent period of life and then enters the temper tantrum teenager years, you're gonna wanna check on it to make sure that everything is still torqued to spec. Dealerships do this with their inspection processes for new vehicles, and adding a lift kit really is no different. Add in a cold garage, right, with some shitty lighting and a couple 4, 5, 10 bush lattes with your buddies, and you're probably gonna find during a sober review the next day that you missed a bolt or maybe just completely forgot to torque something to spec. We did this on my Cat Eye, actually. Fun fact, we put it all together, put the wheels on, and then we forgot to torque one of the wheels, which means that when I got like 3 hours away, I lost a bunch of lug nuts. It was scary. Lift kits are a fabricator modification, and even though we've made it easy with buying an entire kit through one product page on the website, there's still more to it that people just sometimes overlook. Now, you can go through the basics of buying good shocks, adjusting your headlights, and maybe learning that a 4.5-inch lift kit isn't exactly 4.5 inches of total lift because, each manufacturer has a little bit different definition of height, which sounds like a typical issue with most measurements in the truck industry. But those are just basic rookie stuff, right? That's stuff that happens with your first lift kit. The professional stuff gets overlooked even when you're on your second or your third or your fourth truck build because we're buying and selling trucks so often, or, we're just disregarding the old project and jumping into a brand new truck build, and we don't think that we need to do maintenance on a brand new truck because it's new. Fact of the matter here is that's just simply not the case. Consistent care for a lift kit and proper management of how that added weight and height are super important things to keep in mind and, mentally prepare yourself for, right? I mean, managing those expectations, understanding that you're going to have to put some money aside for those maintenance items, and overall just putting all of those pieces together should get you a much, much more in-depth experience with your lift kits. Or don't. I'm not your dad, but eventually it's gonna catch up to you. So there's that. But what do you guys think is the most overlooked tip when it comes to installing a lift kit? Let us know down in the comment section below. And if you're looking for aftermarket wheels or tires or suspension, be sure to hit us up over at CustomOffsets.com. I'm Dustin from Custom Offsets. We'll see you guys later. Peace.